Welcome everyone to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. I am your host, Ariane Aramburo. Today's guest with me is Rebkah Weigel, who has called Alaska home for the last 23 years. She is a mom of two and has been involved with childcare since she was 13 years old. She's also operated her own in-home daycare for the last 25 years and is also a business owner, if you can believe that. So as you can see, she wears many, many, many hats. We can now add podcast guests to her list. Rebkah, thank you so much for joining us. You do wear a lot of hats. How are you?
I do. I'm good. Thank you. And thank you for having me on here today. And I'm glad we were able to find the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, well, I know you're a busy woman and I appreciate you having this window to chat with us. But before we kind of get into our topics, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are an Alaskan, you live out in the Valley, and kind of what made you go into childcare? Because you mentioned at 13 you were already, dealing with kiddos.
Yes. I grew up in a small town down in Washington and on a farm. And so all those farm kids, hard work always. And as I got a little older, it was some of the neighbors had younger children and they would say, hey, Becky, can you come over and babysit? Are you old enough? Would your parents let you? And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And that's how it started. And so I just went from, taking care of the neighbor kids. And then it kind of grew from there. And then I went to the East Coast to go to school in Maryland. And I was a nanny for 15 years and that helped put me through school. So I've always had kids in my life. And my background is early education, childhood, early education. So kids are my life. And then when moving up here to Alaska, it was hard for me finding childcare. Everybody was full. And I thought, well, you know what? This is my opportunity. I did a childcare down in California for 2 years that when we lived there. And then when my husband got transferred up here, I was wanting to work outside the house, but that didn't work. So I started my own daycare and just kept it going.
And here you are 24, 25 years later, huh?
Yes.
I do have to ask, what keeps you going? What keeps you passionate about doing this? And what do you get out of it? I know the kiddos are cute and, you have, the ups and downs of the days, but for you and for doing this so long, you can just tell that you're very passionate about it. What is it about it? What do you get out of it most?
Well, I love the children. That's first and foremost. Children, I love the children. I want to protect children. I want them to be happy and I want them to be good and respectful and to, have boundaries and be able to, to go out into the world and go, hey, I can do this. I don't have to have someone do this for me. And so I raised all of my daycare kids as I did my own two children, which grew up in the daycare. And all of my kiddos, they look at me as their aunt, like their second mom in a sense, and their second home. And it's just the energy the kids bring to me that keeps me young. So I'm not getting any younger. None of us are getting any younger, but having their young energy and their just bubbly attitude and their fun nature, it just keeps me going.
What was it like raising your own kids while also kind of in the childcare industry? Did you kind of have to find that balance between being mom and also being caregiver?
Oh, absolutely. Because sometimes my kids would come and say, oh, hey, I want to go do this. Well, I'm sorry. I'm working right now and I'm not done with work until this time. So you're just going to have to wait. There was a lot of compromising that went on in our family with our kids, and they grew to understand that also.
And they must have been some good helpers. How did they interact with the other kiddos?
Well, they were all friends and they're still friends to this day, even though they're in their early 20s. They still they're friends on Facebook. When they get together, when they come home from college during the breaks, they all get together and hang out and go do stuff.
I love that.
So it's a good bond that they have made.
Rebkah, parenting in Alaska, as you know, and you've lived here for quite some time, comes with its own unique challenges. We're talking weather, you've got isolation. Of course, everyone knows the long, dark winters. How do you think those factors kind of shape the way that we raise our kids? And what have you kind of noticed being a caregiver here for so many years?
Different regions have different situations they have to deal with. For South Central here, my motto is, we go outside. unless it gets below, I mean, really cold for the little ones. And I've taken care of, and I usually take care of the 5 and under group. So they're a little more challenging when it comes to, oh, we can just go outside, not a big deal. Let's dress up and go. They don't know how to say, I'm cold. They don't know when to say, oh, my hands are cold, my feet are cold.
Yeah.
When it's darker, our times are limited being outside. I gauge everything with the temperature. We still go outside every day. It's just that certain times we can't because nap time, or it's too cold, or the wind. Oh, the wind is a big factor in the thing. But you have to layer up and really stay, extra warm and be really vigilant on the age group that you're with. And there's some kids that definitely they'll go outside. I've got 5-year-olds that have no problem going outside, and they can be outside for a long time. They dress warm, but my littler ones cannot.
Yeah.
And being darker, that makes it even harder.
Yeah,
because it gets darker. It doesn't get light until about 10 in the morning, and then it gets darker at 4 o'clock. So the window is very short for how often you can go outside. And usually it's a 20 minutes, go outside for 20 minutes, come in, play, do some things, warm up, have a snack, and then you can go back outside again for 20 minutes. It's a revolving door during the wintertime up here.
And I would say too, Rebecca and we've done this podcast and talked to a lot of parents, and kind of that same question when you bring up Alaska winters. While the summertime, it's absolutely gorgeous. A lot of parents are saying, even if it is cold and dark, even if you just step out and go to the end of your driveway, like getting outside makes a big difference.
Yes.
Do you find that as well, and kind of have to kind of force yourself or some of the kiddos to just, hey, let's step out and get some fresh air?
In my daycare, we're very high energy, active daycare, always have been. And I love being outside, and the kids love being outside. Yes, just going outside for even 15 minutes of fresh air does wonders. It calms them down, and sometimes it can also hype them up. But 90% of the time, it calms them down and kind of brings them back into focus on what I need to do next with them.
You've seen parenting trends over the years. What's the one thing that parents are always kind of stressing over that you hear and kind of noticed, and how do you handle that?
Well, a lot of it is the food.
Yeah.
The trends of different foods, where I grew up where everything was homemade and there was less pre-packaging stuff. And then as time and eras have changed, there's more packaging, parents are rushed, and it's a lot easier. And then also the pickiness of kids, of their food. That's the big roller coaster that I find with parents struggling mostly, is food, the pickiness, and trying to get new foods for the kids to try and get them introduced to, and how to do that. And boy, kids are stubborn. If they don't like something, they're not going to eat it.
Yep, I have a 9-year-old. Yep, I can certainly attest to that.
Yeah, that's my biggest struggle. With hearing from the parents, how do you get them to do that? It's like, well, I just keep introducing the same food, just put a little bit on their plate, and hope one day they'll take a taste.
Yeah, eventually, hopefully.
Yes. And then there's sometimes where kids, they're on a carb diet or they have a protein diet. That's just what their bodies need. I have to remind parents, sometimes what your child is craving, it's not what they're craving. It may not be really what you think that, they just want to eat that. No, it's what their body needs at that time. And then in 6 weeks, it could change over to something else. It is very food is in general, with parents, I find that that's my biggest question, and I'm trying to answer and help out. And most of the time it's like, hey, just step back. What they're eating now is what their body is craving right now, and it's okay. Just remember, they're not going to live on that chicken nugget for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So, and it is, that's the one big roller coaster that I find with, prepackaged stuff and homemade stuff. And all of it.
Not only do you care for kiddos and you've been doing it for so long, you also have a dog
Yes.
business. So you're a dog mom, I assume. Where and how do you find the time for that? Or is that kind of like your escape outlet?
Well, it's my escape outlet, but I really enjoy it. Okay, kids and dogs go hand in hand. We rescue English Springer Spaniels. We've had them in our lives since my husband and I got married 27 years ago. And I have a good friend that owns the 49th State Kennel Pet Shop here in Palmer. And I was making cookies. I was making CBD cookies, regular cookies, peanut-free cookies, peanut butter cookies. And I was giving them to her for her dogs. And she's the one who pushed me into doing it. She was like, oh my gosh, Becky, you've got to make these and everything. And I'll put them in my shop and I'll sell them. They're really good. My dogs love them. I've given them out to friends. They love them. And so I said, really, that's just what I need is something else to do. So, I thought, well, I'm already in the business. I know how the business operates. I know the licensing. I know all of that. So that's how it happened. And it'll be almost a year. A year in March will be a year that I've been doing this little adventure. So I sell them in our shop, and then I go to all of the craft shows, bazaars, and all of the farmers markets, and I sell them there too.
How does that work with you being, a caregiver with the kiddos, and how do you see that interaction with the kids and the dogs? Are some of them scared? Do they love it? Do they get used to them over time?
We've had good luck with English Springer Spaniels. Mm-hmm. They love kids. Our dogs are kid raised. When I go to take them for training, I have to remember that I have to tell the trainers, they're kid raised, they're not dog raised. So they know the kids' schedule, they know nap time, they know this. In fact, they take naps with the kids. And at the same time, they are in tuned and will protect those children because those are their babies. I've had no issues with children being afraid of them. Even the ones that do not have a dog in their house, they just love having them around. And so the interaction is really good because I'm also teaching the children how to be gentle with animals. Don't poke them, don't pull their tail, don't tease. We play with them, let them be, throw the ball, that kind of thing. And how they are raised around animals hopefully will continue into their adulthood too, and love animals and care for them.
Your daycare, how many kiddos do you have, and what is like your age range? What's kind of a typical day in the life of coming to Miss Rebkah's?
Well, I am 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I take care of teachers' children only because I like to have my weekends off. I'm off at Christmas, spring break, and during the summertime, which that helps with my other business, doing all the summertime farmers markets and bazaars and all of that. I used to be year round, and about 10 years ago, I had a whole group of kids go off to kindergarten. And then I was like, wow, I'm left with teachers' kids. This is going to be good. How is this going to work? And it has been fantastic. It was also really good because my children were in, middle school. Mm-hmm. They were kind of in the middle of middle school, and they were at that age where they're like, Mom, we've shared you for so many years. Can we have some time with you? And I was like, wow, this is perfect. Aww. Everything just worked out great. Because I had my summers off, we could go camping more and I could go do things with them. And we could do it during the week. And they didn't have to share me anymore with a group of kids. And so over time, so that's how it worked to where I'm taking care of teachers' kids. And I love it. So I take care of birth to age 5 once they go off to kindergarten, which is hard because I always cry too, because when I have them from birth, I've watched them grow up. Yeah. And I'm kind of like their aunt, and it's like their second home. And so when they go off to kindergarten, it makes me feel good to see them grow, but also sad because I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss them. But they always see me, and I'm always in contact with them. And I go see, like, if they have a sports game or something like that, I'll go if I have time, pop in, watch them do their sports game or connect with them on Facebook. I love watching all of my kids. I mean, in the 24 years that I've been up here in Alaska, I've raised over 100 children.
What is one piece of parenting wisdom that you wish you had known when your kiddos were younger?
Oh Lord, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Because it's always that, if I would have known then.
Yep.
Oh wow. Enjoy those first. I know it's really hard. The first 5 years of their life is really hard. They're building their immune system. They're going through the diapers. I mean, those are the things that I look back, and I do this every day in my business. And I tell parents, enjoy these times. You're going to miss when they're 3 and 4, 5. You're going to miss when they're 2 years old and they're just saying those first words. And then it's like, I always tell, and this is one thing I hold true. I tell every parent that does not have any children in school is, as soon as your little one goes off to kindergarten, on the first day, you're going to cry and go, oh my goodness. You're going to go to sleep and wake up and go, how did 12 years go by so fast? They're graduating. How did that happen? I mean, that is it. Yeah, it's just enjoy all the good times. And just, it's one of those things where I go look back and I'm like, oh, wow, if I would have only had an extra day to go do this with them, that would have been fun. But I look at it going, I had all these times. I was at home with them. I was home with them. Yes, I was raising them with 8 other kids. And that was great for them. They had buddies all the time. And it's just enjoy them. That's all I can say, is just enjoy your kids and remember that they're going to grow up in a blink of an eye, and they're going to be going off to college, to trade school, doing their own life, getting married, having their own kids. And then you'll be like, ooh, grandbabies. and those sleepless nights. I mean, those sleepless nights, you're going, oh, you're never going to get them back. Once you lose your sleep, you're never going to get them back. But then you'll be like, the night that we were up until 3 o'clock in the morning and we still had to get up and go to work. Okay, it was well worth it. We were tired, but it was well worth it. But then you look at these little human beings that especially with me, I help parent them with what I do, and I'm watching them grow into these amazing young adults. And a lot of my kids, I would say every child that I am in contact with that have already graduated high school, they have all graduated with honors. They're all either going off to trade school and doing fantastic. They've gone off to college. They're doing fantastic. I mean, it's amazing. I look at them.
Oh, I love that.
And then if you really look at the career back when I was 13, 14, 15, and those parents, those kids are growing up, they're in their 30s and 40s. And I'm like, how can you be that old?
Right. What do you say to some of those moms and dads, mainly the mamas that are maybe having that mom guilt and some of the little bit of that postpartum that's lingering over? I'm sure you've seen that over the years and the time that you've been doing this.
Oh, yes. The new moms, they need a lot of support. And I try to give them as much support. I'll send pictures. They can pop in anytime. If they're still nursing, they can come in and nurse in the morning, come in earlier. Then I open up if need be to nurse and have that extra time. They do need support. It is really hard for any mom to go back to work and to leave somebody. I mean, you cannot replace your babies. You can't replace them. And so I try not to let them, they tend to want to beat themselves up and give them that mom guilt. And I was like, no. I had a mom that helped me out one day. I had a new mom come, she was dropping off, and she was having a hard time leaving. And I said, it's okay. You can video, we can do all that. And this is when the iPhones first started coming out and everything, and you could videotape and you can do the FaceTime type thing. Mm-hmm. And a mom was there and she was like, it's okay to be sad and it's all right. And she said, but I find me working outside the home makes me a better parent, because when I come to pick up my kiddos, I take them home. I am mom and I am That is it. My job ends when I pick them up and I am 100% mom and I'm there for them. And it makes me be a better mom. And she turned and she was like, that is really something I'm going to think about. And that has always stuck with me to try to help a new mom. Remember, you're going to work. When you come back, you're going to be so ecstatic seeing your baby. You're missing your baby. You'll get the pictures throughout the day. You can call. You can pop in on if you don't work that far from where I'm at. Pop in during your lunch if you have an hour lunch. Come and do all of that. But you're going to be a great mom. And don't beat yourself up. No mom should ever feel guilty for working outside the home and putting their child in childcare. It makes them a better mom.
Do you have a set time? Like you want to not do it anymore?
I will be 59 this May, and I have no intentions of stopping. I love what I do. The kids keep me young. That's the thing. The kids keep me young because they keep me active. They keep me going. Are there days where I go, okay, that's it, I'm throwing in the towel? It's a crazy day, especially this week with I've had the flu bugs going through and the colds and everything. Those are hard weeks, but we get through those. We plow through those. And next week's Valentine party and doing fun stuff because everyone will be back. So no, I really don't have any intentions of leaving. I tell my moms, I'm like, probably in the next, I have another 5 years, but shoot, I've been saying that for 5 years. I mean, like I said, I love kids and I love having them, the laughter. And you're a mom. They can drive us all crazy, but we still love them.
We do. We unconditionally. For parents that are trying to kind of navigate it all, whether it's a first-time parent, or they've been, they have more than one kiddos, what is your kind of best advice for finding a rhythm, that works?
Go with the flow first off. Don't overthink anything. Don't overschedule your children. That is the one thing that I do find parents, they stress out about. And sometimes I found some children stress out when they're overscheduled. They have too much going on in a week. Mm-hmm. But some kids thrive on that. Some kids do not. Just go with the flow. And if things get a little crazy one day and you go, hey, we got to take a time out. We're just not doing nothing on this day. Let's say it's a Wednesday. We're not doing anything. We're all stressed out. It's only Wednesday, but we've all had a heck of a week. Take it. Don't feel guilty. Just go home, veg out, hang out, do family things. Just don't overthink it. Don't overschedule it, and go with the flow. And I have moms who are, I have teacher moms. As soon as they get off work, they have one child going here and they have one child going there. They streamline everything and they have it down as a good schedule. But I have had parents where they're just like, I'm so stressed out. I got to go here. Okay, take a breath. It's okay. If you're 5 minutes late, it's okay. Just breathe and take it in. So yeah.
Take a moment, take a breath. That's some good advice.
It is. And I tell my little ones that too. It's like when they start getting frustrated, I'm like, hold on, take a break. Look at me. It's okay. Just take a break. Deep breath. All right, now let's move on. And then it just taking a deep breath can calm you down.
I will let you kind of have the last word and give your best words of wisdom from Miss Becky. Is that what the kids call you, Miss Becky, you said?
They call me Miss Becky, and I absolutely love them. Words of wisdoms. I think I've kind of talked about that throughout the podcast. Gosh, I can't say this enough. Enjoy your kids when they are younger. I have a 23-year-old and soon to be 22-year-old, and they're out of the house. And that's where I really am like, wow, they grew up so fast. Just really enjoy the time that you have with your kids, even if it's even if they frustrate you, just, when they turn around and say, I love you, Mom. Good night, Mom. Good night, Dad. I love you. That is one thing that you'll hold on to near and dear and take forever. And then as in childcare, don't get frustrated if you can't find the right one for you right out of the gate. It's going to take some time to research and find, and definitely references. That is really important. I did not say that earlier on, but get references from people who are going there. For me, for my daycare, I don't let people just give my name out all the time, because I like to also reference parents. So it's kind of like the who you know, and it is also ask lots of questions when you're calling those references. Like you said, dig deep into some of them. I've even helped parents who have called, and I'm not the right one for them because I don't do year-round care. I am closed during the summertime and other times during the year. But I've also helped parents out with questions, saying, hey, when you call, make sure that you ask these certain questions. So I do get quite a few calls from parents who say, hey, I'm looking, what would you suggest? So yes. And then of course they do have programs out there that will also help parents. Look, like the Thread program, you can go through them and they will help with childcare also.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you, Rebkah, for coming on, for taking the time out and chatting with us. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm glad we finally were able to do this.
Me too. And I want to say thank you all for listening to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, Rebkah.